We've got the most popular whey isolate on the market and the most popular whey hydrolysate on the market. Is there a difference? Does it matter? This is Nick at BarBend.com, and today I'm going to be comparing those two types of whey protein, and I'm also going to be talking about these two brands, Isopure and Dymatize. So I'm going to compare the nutrition, the ingredients, the taste, the price, and then I'm going to decide who each protein might be best for. Let's get started. So before I dive into all this science, if you're looking for the absolute best whey protein powders on the market in any category, make sure you Google our full roundup. Just type in BarBend plus best whey. But when it comes to Isopure and Dymatize, well, you're going to talk about the different types of whey here. So there are three different types of whey. There's concentrate, there's isolate, and hydrolysate. Now, hydrolyzed whey is what Dymatize has. I should say it's not 100% hydrolyzed whey. There's also some whey isolate in there. But nonetheless, it's fair to say this is the most popular hydrolyzed whey product on the market. Isopure, on the other hand, is 100% whey isolate. So the way it works is that whey concentrate is the cheapest form of whey, and it has the most lactose and carbs and fat as well. When you process that a little bit, well, actually quite a lot, then you get whey isolate. So this has almost all of the carbs and fat removed, and there are plenty of whey isolates out there that have no carbs and fat at all. Hydrolyzed whey, on the other hand, that's even further processed. Now, it's kind of complicated the way they do it, but normally enzymes and/or acid are added into the mix to further break it down and reduce particulate size and cleave peptide bonds. And all this kind of science goes on, which ultimately means that the hydrolyzed whey is, people generally consider it pre-digested, like it's very broken down when you get it. What that means is that it digests more quickly. And if you're asking yourself, does that mean that hydrolyzed whey is better for recovery? There are indeed some studies that suggest that it's better for 2-a-day workouts. There was one study published that found that when comparing athletes taking whey isolate and hydrolyzed whey, the athletes that were taking hydrolyzed whey recovered power more quickly. So the science isn't absolutely definitive on that, but nonetheless, it is pretty interesting. Now, of course, one of the most important questions is which one tastes better. Well, here we've got Isopure's Dutch chocolate. And again, the thing here is that you need to have 2 scoops in 1 serving. And the product actually recommends that you put 2 scoops into 12 ounces of water. So that's like a lot of scoops, right? It results in a very thick shake. And because it recommends 2 scoops, the flavor is relatively mild. Like, it's not a super strong flavor. And it also, of course, comes out very thick. It's a relatively dark chocolate type flavor. Like, it's not a really overwhelming, sweet, milky chocolate flavor. Dymatize, on the other hand, if you're getting their flagship chocolate, which is gourmet chocolate, very sweet and actually quite a bit saltier as well, which is really interesting. So a big pro with Dymatize, in my opinion, it goes really well with water, which I don't think Isopure does, and I think very few protein powders do. The gourmet chocolate flavor, really good with water, fantastic with milk, but you do need to have a bit of a sweet tooth. I do, and I do not apologize for that. But if you are not a big fan of very sweet chocolatey protein powders, you might want to go with Isopure instead. So who are these companies? Well, Isopure was founded over 30 years ago by Hal Katz and Ernie Grassi, who started out mixing supplements in their garage with an actual cement mixer, which I think is pretty funny. Eventually they were bought out by Glanbia in 2014. Glanbia is an enormous cheese company, and cheese companies actually have a very vested interest in making protein powder because whey is a byproduct of making cheese. So they have a ton of whey lying around. Glanbia also owns Optimum Nutrition. So this is actually in the same family as Optimum Nutrition. But while that company is best known for its whey blend, this is quite possibly the most popular whey isolate on the market. I don't have the numbers on this, but it is the most reviewed and most popular whey isolate on most e-commerce sites. Dymatize, on the other hand, was founded over 20 years ago. They're currently based in Dallas, Texas, and ISO 100 here is widely considered, and their manager says this, their flagship product. Again, it's not 100% hydrolyzed whey. Nonetheless, definitely the most popular hydrolyzed whey product on the market. It's won a ton of awards from a bunch of different websites. And this product, what's interesting about Dymatize is that their products are tested by Informed Choice, which is a third-party testing company, and they ensure that there are no banned substances or anything like that, which can be really important for competitive athletes. And the company sponsors a bunch of different athletes as well, everyone from MMA athletes to physique athletes. The point being that with the right nutrition and training, supplements can be for anyone. Okay, so let's talk about the actual nutrition differences here. Now, as I mentioned, Isopure does have a serving size of 2 scoops. I'm just going to compare them on a per scoop basis just to make it a little bit simpler. So Isopure, I should mention first of all, this does have a very popular 0-carb version as well, but the chocolate flavor is low carb, so I'm going to be talking about the nutrition for this one. 1 scoop has 110 calories, 25 grams of protein, 1.5 grams of carbohydrates with 0.5 gram of fiber, and 0.5 gram of fat with no saturated fat, and 10 milligrams of cholesterol, which is like 3.5 4.5% of the recommended daily intake. So relatively low carbohydrate. On a per gram of protein basis, this has 4.4 calories per gram of protein. The lowest you can get is 4, which is just like pure protein. So a lot of protein per calorie with this one. But a really important thing here is that Isopure has a ton of added vitamins and minerals, which is really, really rare for a protein powder. So this has a good couple dozen vitamins and minerals. You get everything from magnesium to zinc to selenium to copper, and also the big ones like vitamin C and B vitamins, vitamin A, things like that. In one scoop, you're getting roughly 25% of the recommended daily intake of each of these vitamins. It varies a little bit, but on average, 25%. So that is a really big pro for Isopure when it's compared to pretty much any protein powder. Now, Dymatize has a ton of similarities when it comes to nutrition. It has the same amount of fat, same saturated fat, same cholesterol, and same protein, 25 grams of protein per scoop. The main difference, honestly, is that Dymatize has 0.5 more grams of carbohydrates and it has no fiber, which is a pretty small difference, all things considered. That might be very important to like really advanced athletes where every single half gram of fiber and carbohydrates is important. Generally speaking, there aren't a lot of differences between the two products, except for the fact that Isopure has a ton more vitamins and minerals, which is far and away the biggest difference between the products. Dymatize has 10% of your daily calcium per scoop. Otherwise, there's not much to write home about. It also has a little bit less sodium, 7% of your daily intake versus 10% of your daily intake in Isopure, but again, those are pretty small differences. I do also want to point out the fact that Dymatize has 120 calories per scoop versus 110 calories per scoop with Isopure. The difference is just half a gram of carbohydrates. The reason why they've made it 10 calorie difference when it should be more like 2 calories is that they do lots of rounding on this. So we're just kind of going by guesstimates here at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to the actual ingredients, both products again have a lot of similarities. They both start with whey protein. They both have soy lecithin for improved mixability. They both have natural and artificial flavors, and they both contain sucralose, the artificial sweetener, which is also called Splenda. The main differences are that Dymatize, the first ingredient, is hydrolyzed whey, then there's whey isolate, whereas Isopure is just whey isolate. Isopure has all those vitamins and minerals that I mentioned earlier. Isopure also has xanthan gum, which is a thickener and stabilizer. Some people have digestive issues with xanthan gum, but like that's pretty uncommon. Dymatize does not have any gums in it at all, so that could potentially be a pro based on your own dietary goals. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that Isopure has added glutamine to it, but it still has half the amount of glutamine per scoop as Dymatize. Now, a lot of people think that glutamine in your whey protein shake is really important for like gaining muscle. It isn't really, honestly. Like glutamine just gets stored in the gut. It's not really the kind of thing where timing is very important. Most of it is in the gut anyway, so I don't think it's particularly important as long as you're getting plenty of protein in your diet anyway. Finally, I just wanted to mention that Dymatize also has half a gram of lactose, whereas Isopure has no lactose at all. That's such a small amount that it's unlikely for it to make any difference at all, but it is worth pointing out. So really quickly, I'm going to compare the price of these two products. Isopure, you normally get it in a 3-pound tub like this, and the price does vary between like $35 and $45. That can always change, but roughly speaking, you're looking at about $1 a scoop or like 4-ish cents per gram of protein, like 4 to 4.5 cents per gram of protein. The price, of course, drops the more you order, but that's what you're looking at in the generic size. Dymatize, the generic size is actually quite a lot smaller. This is 1.6 pounds, and the price varies a ton. I've seen it for $29 and for $56, but on average, roughly speaking, again, you're looking at about $1.50 per scoop or about 6 cents per gram of protein. So this is, of course, notably more expensive. That makes sense given that hydrolyzed whey is more expensive to produce, and also they get tested by Informed Choice, a third-party tester, whereas Isopure doesn't, so that could also add to the price a little bit. All right, so which is a better protein? So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each brand. First of all, Isopure, the big pro for this one is that it has all these vitamins and minerals. It is significantly more nutritious in that regard. It's also cheaper than the other product. It also has no lactose as well. The cons, I would say, well, it does contain some gum, which some people have trouble digesting. Not everyone, but that is worth emphasizing for some folks. It's a little bit high in sodium, and it's also not tested by a third party for banned substances. I spoke with Isopure about this. They do follow regulations by the World Anti-Doping Agency, so they are pretty stringent there, but there's no third party coming in to test it. So that could be important for you if you're a competitive athlete. As for Dymatize, I think a big pro is that it's pretty tasty with water. You can eat it on the go, and also you don't have to mix it with milk, in my opinion, so you can save calories like that if that's important to you. Tested by Informed Choice as well, like I mentioned earlier. But of course, the big difference with ISO 100 here is that it is made mostly with hydrolyzed whey, which means it may absorb more quickly. And as I mentioned, there are indeed some studies that suggest that could be more beneficial for athletes if they need to recover more quickly, maybe. The cons with this one, it's quite sweet. I think that's a pro. You might consider that a con potentially. It's also more expensive, which is probably the biggest con. It also has less protein per calorie. Isopure has 4.4, whereas Dymatize has 4.8. But as I mentioned, the calories at this level, they're kind of guesstimates. All right, those are my thoughts on Isopure versus Dymatize. Long story short, Isopure is cheaper and it has more vitamins and minerals, which is probably more relevant for the average person, whereas Dymatize absorbs more quickly and it's been tested by a third party, which could be more relevant for athletes. But if you're looking for the absolute best whey protein powders on the market across all brands for your needs, make sure you Google my full roundup, BarBend plus Best Whey.